Hey there. Are you a do-it-yourselfer that sometimes goes into the hardware store or home improvement store and you're just wondering what kind of drywall mud do I need for my project? Should I get a big bucket or a small bucket? Should I get a bag? Well, I've been in drywall work for many years now, and my son Darren and I have ND Walter Home Improvements business. And so I have a little bit of experience to help you out with that. And so today I'm just going to try to help to give you a little bit of a heads up on what you should use or what's the difference between the different muds. First of all, I'll just mention to you that there are two main manufacturers of drywall mud. Proform is one common one, and USG is another one. We use mostly USG these days, but it's not like there's a big difference between them. But the big issue is sometimes, well, what's the difference between them? I see green lids, I see black lids sometimes, depending where you're at, purple lids, blue lids. What difference is it? Basically speaking, you have a heavyweight mud, a midweight mud, and a lightweight mud. And so those different lid colors kind of indicate which one you're looking for. The first thing is that actually I have the USG version, the heavyweight mud. This is what we tape with mostly. So if you're putting on the paper tape in particular, you may want to get yourself a bucket of this, whether it's the small bucket or large bucket, depending on how big your project may be. So this is the heavyweight mud. It's going to shrink quite a bit, but that's a good thing because it pulls the tape right into the joint. Now, if you were trying to finish with this, that wouldn't be very good. It's pretty hard to try to sand. And then secondly, it shrinks quite a bit. And you don't really want that for your finished coat. So anyway, that's the green lid. And in the Proform, that same mud basically is the black lid. So just so you're aware of that, that's the heavyweight mud. Next, you have the purple lid or red lid. Proform is red lid. USG is purple lid. I do have a bucket of that, but it's not here with us right now. So I can't show you that one, myself, kind of show and tell or whatever. But anyway, that's what you're looking for. That'd be the midweight. It does shrink some. It's a little bit softer than the green or the black lid, but it doesn't shrink quite as much, and you can probably at least get by with it. You may want one extra coat when you're using that midweight mud. Then I also have what we use mostly, and that is the +3. The contractor that I do a lot of my subcontracting for, he likes to use this +3. Doesn't shrink much, sands easy. It might be a little softer if you've got a lot of wear and tear. Maybe that would be an issue to consider. But basically, in the USG, it's the kind of the royal blue lid, and then in Proform, you'll see something very similar, but it's in a lighter blue lid. And anyway, those are lightweight muds. They work pretty well. They don't shrink much, and you can get a really nice finish on that. So I like that. And so both of these are muds that I use day after day. Basically, every week I'm using one or the other of these muds, maybe both of them, depending on what the status is of the job. One other thing I'll mention to you is that there's also, I have just a little bit left in this. It's a USG sheetrock brand Easy Sand 20-minute mud. That's what they say anyway. There are other numbers as well, 45 I think, and 90, maybe 120. Basically, a good little rule of thumb is just figure half the time that it says on the bag if you want it to actually still be usable, because there's a chemical reaction in there, and it usually doesn't last anywhere near as long as they say. I don't particularly care to use that for finish work, especially because it's easy. You mix it. It's a powder you mix with water, and you can mix it up pretty nicely. But it's pretty difficult sometimes to really get all of those little dry spots out of the mud. For me, I use a trowel, and I'm troweling along, and then I'll have these little spots every now and then. It's just kind of a little bit nerve-wracking. So I don't necessarily recommend that for the final product, but especially if you're on something that's, maybe it's running behind a little bit. Maybe you've got metal corner bead and you're trying to fill in a lot of mud there to make it really nice. Sometimes it has its place, and it's good stuff. So anyway, I use that just in specific issues, but you have to just mix up a little bit for that. One other thing I'll mention to you real quick is on your screws. We usually go ahead and coat the first time over with our screws with the green lid. It does shrink, but that's not usually a problem. We'll coat over it after that with the blue lid. But one thing that I want to mention to you is people sometimes get the idea, well, more is better. I want to make sure it's all covered real good. Basically speaking, that's not the case. you'd be better off to go ahead and just do maybe even an extra coat, but just do it thin. Mix it kind of creamy, a little bit almost maybe like mashed potatoes or something, and then just smear it on really nicely. And my son and I, we don't sand between steps. We try to make each coat nice, and then at the very end, then you can sand everything at the final, last thing basically. Besides a few touch ups, if you have a little something to touch up here or there. And by the way, touch ups might be another time you'd like to use the fast drying mud. And then one other time is particularly if you have like a big gap somewhere. Maybe it's something banged into a wall and made a big gouge out. Sometimes the thinner mud, you can't get that to stay there, but you can mix the powder thick enough that you can kind of push it in almost like Play-Doh, and it can really help you to pull through on an emergency situation. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful to you. We'll try to give you some other tidbits and things that we do, tools we use, how to choose the right tool, various things like that. So we'll get back to you in just a little bit, and hopefully it'll be helpful to you. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you're not quite sure exactly, this is the place for you to find answers. So come back and join us again real soon.